Hello. Well, autumn has certainly arrived here with the weather in the last few days, but despite that there's still plenty to do. Today we're going to be looking at feeding leeks, preparing your beds for autumn planting, potting up winter baskets, and we've got a tip for your hydrangeas. So let's get started and take a look at the leeks. So now is the time that leeks put on a lot of growth. Like most of the onion family, they're in the ground for a long time. And with small plots and raised beds, they'll use up the nutrients really quickly, especially a hungry crop like leeks. So at key times it's really important to replace those nutrients, and now in autumn is a good time. So start by weeding the bed and keep it as weed free as possible. Leeks do not like competing for those nutrients with the weeds. Now you can use a general fertiliser, so chicken manure pellets or fish blood and bone, either in pellet form or in powder form. I'm using fish blood and bone pellet form, and all you've got to do is just spread it around evenly amongst the plants. And then once that's done, if it's dry and you're not expecting any rain, just give the bed a water. That will help get the pellets and the feed absorbed into the ground. So just make sure there's a really good amount of fertiliser in there, and it's fairly even around everywhere, and that will help your plants grow, and it will give you really good strong leeks by the end of winter. So if you've not planted up your winter baskets yet, now is the time to do so. So let's take a look at what we need to do.
Make sure your basket is clean. Half fill with multi-purpose compost. Select your winter plants. Place the plants onto the compost to create your display. Fill the gaps with compost, ensuring all the roots are in contact with soil. Place, water and enjoy.
So lots of the beds are becoming empty at this time of year, and some of those are going to be needed for planting the crops that were sown a few weeks ago. So now is the ideal time to get them prepared, ready for planting in a few weeks' time. So let's go and take a look. So again, this bed's had a crop in earlier on in the year, and a lot of the nutrients will have been depleted. So we need to add more nutrients back in to give the next crop a good chance to do well. So start off by clearing the bed of any old plants and debris, and we'll give it a really good weed. Then all you need to do is just give it a light turnover with a fork. It's just really breaking up that hard soil on the top. And then next, we're just going to add a compost mix. So in the barra I've got a compost mix of recycled shop bought compost with homemade compost with a 50-50 mix, and that will add loads and loads of nutrients back into the soil. So we just make sure that gets tipped into the bed. Spread it out as evenly as we can. So not only does this add the nutrients back, but it also helps improve soil structure, and it also tops the bed up from any soil that's been lost during the season. So once that's been spread out, again with your fork, just give it a light dig over, just to turn all of that new soil back into the bed. Now if you're following a strict no dig policy, you don't need to do this bit. So if your garden is purely no dig, just lay the new compost and homemade compost on top, and the worms will help drag it down. Leave it a few weeks and you can plant straight on top of it. So once that's mixed in, all then you need to do is just rake it level, and in a few weeks' time this bed will be ready for planting out the autumn crops. And that is all you need to do. Well, that's nearly it for today. Don't forget to follow the links for Facebook and Instagram for more tips during the week, and there's links at the end of this video to previous episodes. But before we go, I've got a tip for your hydrangeas. So normally with plants, when the flowers die back, you cut them back, deadhead them, That promotes new growth and allows more flowers to come on the plant. With hydrangea, as they start to die off like this one, you leave them on the plant. Don't cut it back at all, and that will help protect it from the frosts over winter. Then you can cut it back in spring after the last frosts. Well, that is it for today, so we'll see you back in the garden next Wednesday.